Hello, friends. All of you are from the medical fraternity that is considered to be the most structured fraternity amongst all. You have a very well defined structure, system, and processes in your occupation, and I'm happy to welcome you today to the class of me, Dr. Trilok Sharma, for your occupational English training. You have a very well defined structure, as I told you. What do you mean by structure? What do you mean by system? What do you mean by process? I need not to explain you. You guys are every day practicing, performing everything with a well defined system and process, because you know very well that the moment you skip one step in the process of treatment, the moment you skip one step in the process of a surgery, or you skip one step in the process of diagnostic, either in pathology lab or in radiology lab, you do a blunder, and that blunder is irrevocable because you play with human lives. And that's why, my friend, I always respect this fraternity, and I wonder why all other fraternities do not follow such strict process and structure. Let me give you a simple example. I'm a non-medical practitioner, but when I do observation, when I do observe certain things, I find, oh my God, medical fraternity is so structured. Although I'm not saying that other fraternities are not so structured or not process driven or not system driven. No, I'm not saying that. And I'm not at all mean that also. But of course, medical fraternity cannot be excused of missing any sequential step which is part of the structure. And that's where other fraternities have to learn from you. It is possible sometime that some people somewhere make a little change into the sequence of the process or sequence of the system, but in general, every profession, every fraternity has to follow certain systems and processes. So I was trying to give you one small example how you people follow the structure and follow the sequence while doing the dressing for a wound. What you do? First you clean the wound, then you apply the medicine, then you cover it with some cotton or cotton swab or something like that, and then you put band-aid or bandage. Imagine if you do other way around, or you interchange or exchange one or two sequences. Instead of first applying the medicine, you first put the cotton and then apply, then put the medicine and then do the bandage. Is there any meaning of that exercise? No. So friends, anything you do, you have to follow certain process, certain system, and a certain structure. Similarly, every language also have a structure. Every language has its own structure, and which is considered to consist two things. One is syntax and other is morphology. The structure of any language is known as, any guesses? The most deadliest subject for you guys, that is called grammar. So grammar is what? Grammar is nothing but the structure of any language. Grammar is the system of any language. Any language which is spoken, written, or used in a certain structure, and that structure is called grammar. So by now it is very clear to you guys. I need not to tell you that grammar is a structure which has to be followed when you use any language. That means you perform any medical activity and you follow the structure and system and process strictly. Similarly, you will have to follow the structure in any language. The second important question which is asked most often to me, and that is, do we need to study grammar to learn a language? The short-term answer is no. And I tell you why. If I tell you that grammar is the rule book for language, it will be not a correct statement. It is not a rule book. It is a structure. It is the way of using any language, whether it is in written form or spoken form. But you cannot say that any language has rules, because the moment you use the word rules, it means somebody sometime has created this language and he made some rules to follow. Can we say this statement would be correct for any language in the world, except a few languages which were devised later on? No. So, grammar is not equal to rules. Grammar is equal to structure and system. And every language has one structure and system at one time, at one place. Time change, system change. Time change, structure change. Geographical areas change, structure change. Let us take the example of English itself. In America, it is called US English. In Europe and United Kingdom, it is called UK English, British English. Come to India, it is called Indian English. Within India, lot many Englishes. South Indian English, North Indian English, Bengali English, Gujarati English. Wonderful. So, the structure is always, modifying, changing according to the time, place, and uses. So, in short term, if you ask me, is grammar compulsory to learn? I will say no. Because I take you towards your childhood. When you were a child of 1 year, you didn't know how to speak, what to speak, and gradually you started speaking a few words of a particular language which was spoken by your family members. By default, it will be your mother tongue, mother language. But tell me one thing. Did you first learn grammar, or you directly started speaking that language? I know your answer. You directly started speaking that language without even knowing the word grammar. But in long term, when particularly we talk about learning a foreign language, I would emphasize, I would recommend, I would suggest that yes, grammar needs to be learned. Why? I give you another example. Before you took admission into medical course, whether it was nursing or doctorate or a pharmaceutical or a radiologist, whatever medical course you did, prior to that, did you know that much about this subject? Did you know the detailed processes of this subject, this area? No. What if you thought or you were thinking that okay, why do I go to college? Why do I attend the classes? I will do self studies. I will learn at my own. Would you have been able to learn this language, this profession in a particular time period, say for 2 years, 3 years, or maximum 5 years for MBBS? No. Why? Because if we would learn ourselves, it will take much time because we will not follow the structure and system. But when we follow certain structure and system, things become easy for us. So, become a doctor is easy when you attend the MBBS classes. Other person who is not attending MBBS classes, he cannot become a doctor. He can be anything else, anybody else, but not a doctor. So similarly, if you want to learn any foreign language quickly, within a short period of time, you need to study its grammar. It helps you. Grammar is not your enemy. Grammar is your friend. So make friendship with grammar. Today, as a welcome gift, I will not bother you too much. I will give you a few tips, which you can say rules also, which you can say the system also. But if you remember these 20 tips which I am going to give you today, you will be never making any mistakes while using English language, whether you are speaking or you are writing. So, as a welcome gift, I am giving you 20 tips for quick mastery in English language. And during these tips, I will use certain pedagogy or certain particular words which you are already familiar with. For example, noun, pronoun, verb, subject, object. These all subjects are very familiar for you. I will not go in deep to these words. If you feel that somewhere it is difficult for you to follow or understand, or you want more explanation about this, I encourage you to write us in the comment box below this video. We will be happy to answer your queries. We will be happy to attend your queries. And while writing your queries or comments, do one more thing. Just like and subscribe this channel. It will be beneficial for you. Whenever we will upload another session, you will be notified quickly. Okay, coming to the point. Today I am giving you 20 basic tips or 20 basic rules of English language, not English grammar. Don't misunderstood. Here, these tips belongs to grammar, general use of English language, and getting mastery in using the language. So, if you want, you can write down. If you want, you can download this video for future references. And remember, if you follow these 20 easy tips, your practical English, which is required for day-to-day use, will be much, much, much better than any other of your colleagues. And I'm sure you will not make any mistake. So, okay, coming to the tips. First tip, everybody knows, any sentence starts with a capital letter. And within the sentence, if any name of a person or place is coming, it will also start with capital letter. We know all, but we do mistakes sometimes. Second tip, the order of basic positive sentence. I'm sure you know about other sentences also, like negative, interrogative, exclamatory. So when we will go in detail, we will discuss about that also. But 90% of the times or 80% of the time we use positive sentence, and rest 20% we use interrogative. For example, what is your name? What do you do? From where you are? How long you are suffering from this disease? How you met with this accident? Right? But most of the time we use positive sentences. So there is a certain sequence. And what is that sequence? First subject, then verb, then object. Apply medicine, put the cotton, then use the bandage. Very simple. Don't do other way. Otherwise, the sentence structure will be changed. The mode of sentence will be changed. So, subject, verb, and object. This is the common order of a positive sentence. Tip number 3. Every sentence must have a subject and verb. Like in every hospital, you have a doctor and a nurse, right? Without this combination, a hospital cannot run. Of course, exceptions are there. There are certain small health center where doctor is not posted, only nurse is running that. So exceptions are always there. But normally, you need a doctor and a nurse to run a health center. Similarly, to make a sentence, you need subject and verb. Sometimes if you don't have object, no need. The sentence can be completed. But there are certain exceptions also. In imperative sentences, you may have only verb. What happened? There is no subject. Clear? So, generally, you need a subject and verb. Object is optional. In some imperative sentences, you may find that there is no subject also, but these are certain exceptions, not general rules. Okay? Now coming to tip number 4. The subject and verb must agree in number. What do I mean by number? If my subject is singular number, I will have to use the verb also singular number. And if the subject is plural, then I will have to use a plural verb. Okay? Agree or not agree? I make you more clear to you. Okay? John works in London. John is subject, singular number, and work is a common verb. To make it singular, we added s with it. Works. John works in London. Okay? Then, how about the plural? Let me give another example. John and Mary work in London. Here I did not use s with work. Sometimes we make mistake. John and Mary works in London. Works is wrong. Because John and Mary are connected by and. I will explain you later. Now coming to tip number 5. When two singular subjects are connected by or, use a singular word. As I told you, John and Mary work in London. Now, if we remove this and put or, John or Mary work in London is wrong sentence. We will have to say John and Mary works in London. Clear? The same is true for either or and neither nor also. When we use either or neither nor, again we use singular verb. Now, tip number 6. Adjectives usually come before a noun. Remember, adjectives, whenever we use, they will come before the noun. Here is also one exception. When a verb separates the adjective from the noun, then this rule will not apply. But these kind of exceptions are rare. So you need to keep the general thing in mind that adjectives usually come before a noun. How? Example, I have a big dog. Dog is noun. Big is adjective. So big comes before dog. Either coffee or tea is fine. Now, and neither John nor Mary was late. Sorry, I read the wrong examples. Here, I have a big dog. As I told you, the big is adjective and we used it before the dog. The second example, she married a handsome Italian man. Italian man is noun, handsome is adjective. Her husband is rich. Now, rich, here is the exception. As I told you, when a verb separates the adjective from noun, here is the verb and it is separating husband and rich. So here the rule is not applicable. Here I will not write her rich is husband or her is rich husband. No, this will be wrong. So we will use her husband is rich. Tip number 8. Treat collective nouns. What do you mean by collective nouns? Collective nouns are like committee, company, board of director, group of people, group of companies, group of countries, group of patients, group of hospitals, group of doctors, likewise. So, whenever you use a collective noun, as you should treat it as a singular or plural. This is a confusion. In British English, it is used as plural, while in American English, it is used as singular. So, if you use it as a singular, it is correct. If you use it as plural, it is correct. You can say, I use US English. So it is plural. And if you have used singular, you can, oh, I use British English. That's why it is singular. So keep in mind, the committee are having sandwich for lunch. They will go to London. This is an example of typical British English. While we will use American English, we'll say, my family likes going to the zoo. Or we use another example of British English, that is, the BBC have changed their logo. But another example, if the same sentence we use in American English, we can say, the BBC has changed their logo. So both way it is correct. Don't get confused and don't be confused. Okay? Either you are using British English or you are using American English, you can use any. Either you use plural, it is correct. If you use singular, it is correct. Now coming to tip number 9. The words is very important when we use. For example, I give you one word, it, it, it. Many times you have seen or you have read ITS and IT apostrophe S like this. You can see here ITS above and IT apostrophe S. What is the difference between the two? They both looks like same but not same. They have different meaning and different use. I explain you by one example. The dog has hurt its leg. It's without apostrophe. But he says it's 2 o'clock. Here I will use apostrophe S after it. And it is read like it is. Whenever we read or consider like it is with apostrophe. And if it is without apostrophe, means as we use in other sentences like his or her or mine or yours. Similarly, it's. Clear? Now rule number 10. The words your and your. Let me write for you here. See, these two different words and two different meanings. Here is your coffee, Y-O-U-R, your coffee, your coffee. And you are looking good, you are looking good. So when we will say you are looking good, we will use this one. But when we will say your coffee, we will use this one. Your shirt, your pen, your coffee, your house, your money, your duty, your patient, your. And when it is read like you are, then we will remove A by putting apostrophe here. Tip number 11. This is also a similar thing. I tell you with another example. I give you an example of 3 words. Here I am showing you 3 words. Can you read? T-H-E-R-E, T-H-E-I-R, and T-H-E-Y apostrophe R-E. In reading or speaking, these 3 words look like similar words, but these are not similar. They are different and their meanings are different. Okay? Let me give you one example. There was nobody at the party. There. This one, the first one. Okay? There, that place. And I saw their new car. I saw their new car. There. T-H-E-I-R. And the last one is, do you think they are happy? Like you are? Here they are. So we removed A and put apostrophe T-H-E-Y apostrophe R-E. They are. So don't make mistake considering these 3 words like same. These 3 words are different. They have different meanings. Now again, one more thing where we get confused, and this I am clarifying in tip number 12. The contraction he apostrophe s can mean he is or he has, right? Let me explain you. Can you read this? He is. So we should clearly understand that whenever apostrophe s is used after he or she, it means she has or he has or he is or she is. Okay? Now same rules apply had. So tip number 13 is, if you put this one, he apostrophe D, means he had or he would. It will give same 2 meanings like it was giving in is and has. Similarly, it will give you 2 meanings like had or would. Let us see with some example. He had eaten when I arrived, and he would eat more if possible. They had already finished. They would come if they would. So here you can do they had. So instead of writing 2 different words, T-H-E-Y space H-A-D, you can do T-H-E-Y apostrophe D. Okay? Now coming to rule number 14. Rule number 14 is about writing proper nouns. Whenever we write a proper noun, again, it starts with a capital letter. I told you in rule number first. So, whenever we make a proper noun, make sure that we are using the first letter as a capital letter, like Joseph, Mary, Russia, India, Kolkata, London, New York, English, German, anything. Any proper noun will start with a capital letter. Rule number 15. When we write proper adjectives, like proper noun, we have proper adjectives also. What are the proper adjectives? Like from India is noun, we make proper adjective as Indian. Germany, German. Australia, Australian. So these are the proper adjectives which define something. Indian defined means, if we are saying that he is Indian, means we are defining that person that he is from India. Correct? So whenever we will write proper adjective, it will also start with a capital letter. The first letter of any proper adjective will be a capital letter. Then coming to tip number 16, use the indefinite article. What are the indefinite article? Two, A and N. Where we use these two indefinite articles? We use these for countable nouns in general. Remember, in general, wherever the countable noun, we use A and N. And use the definite article the for specific countable nouns. There is difference between countable noun and specific countable noun. We will discuss in detail later on, but I am emphasizing here, I am underlining here that there is a difference between countable noun and specific countable noun. As well as all uncountable noun, we will use definite article the. So, example, I saw a bird and a balloon in the sky. Countable. The bird was blue and the balloon was yellow. He always saves some of the money that he earns. Now the question is, why we use the before the bird in second sentence and why we did not use the before the bird in a first sentence? Because in first sentence it was countable noun, but as soon as we go on to second sentence, the same thing repeated and it became specific countable noun. Why it is specific? Because we are talking about the same bird which was in the sky. About the bird we have already discussed in the first sentence and it has repeated in the second sentence, so it became specific countable noun. Clear? Now, coming to tip number 17. Use the indefinite article A with words beginning with consonant sounds. You know there are 26 alphabets in English alphabets, A to Z. Out of these, 5 are vowels, A, E, I, O and U. Remaining 21 letters are called consonants. So any word starting with a consonant sound, what I said? Not starting with consonant. I said starting with consonant sound. We will use A. And any word which is starting with vowel sound, we will use N. Now, knife, a knife, house, a house, Englishman, an Englishman. Clear? Okay. Tip number 18. Use many or few with countable nouns. Whenever we are using countable noun and we have to quantify them, we have to use word many or few. Many for bigger amount, few for lesser amount. And use much or a lot or little for uncountable. The things which we cannot count, we use much, a lot or little. Much or a lot for bigger number and little for lower number. Similarly, many for higher number, for countable nouns, and few for lesser number for countable nouns. I give you one example and it will be more clear to you. How many dollars do you have? Many dollars. Many used for countable. Dollars can be counted. So we use how many. Now, and this is for bigger number. And a lower number, there are a few cars outside. I have left with a few dollars in my pocket. There is a little traffic on the road. A little. Used for what? Traffic. Why? Because traffic is not countable. We cannot count that one traffic or two traffic or five traffic. Traffic we cannot quantify. So we used a little. Okay. Now coming to tip number 19. To show possession means who is the owner of something. We use an apostrophe plus S. Like, I give you one example again. Here you can see the use of apostrophe on different places. In first, I use apostrophe after boy, and in second, I have used apostrophe after boys. So what is the difference between the two? To show possession, use an apostrophe plus S for singular, and wherever it is plural number, we use after S. For example, the boy's dog means one boy and his dog. So we use boy's dog, B-O-Y apostrophe S. In another sentence where we will talk about many boys, the boy's dog means that dog belongs to 4 boys. In that sentence, we will use apostrophe after B-O-Y S and then apostrophe. This second. Is it correct? Is it okay? And now coming to the end of today's session with the last tip. And the last tip, 28th tip. In general, we use or we should use the active voice in preference to the passive voice. Okay? You know the active voice and passive voice. If you don't know, let me know in the comment box. So we will take a separate session on this. I give you some example so you will understand what is passive voice and what is active voice. Dr. John operates knee. Dr. John operates knee. It is active voice. Or Sheila is dressing to a patient. Sheila is dressing to a patient. Active voice. Now, people make complicated just to show their learnedness and just to show that, oh, how good we are in English. They say, knee is being operated by Dr. John. Patient is being dressed by Sheila. This is passive voice. When we easily say, when we easily convey our thoughts, we can easily convey we can easily communicate to others with active voice, where the listener can easily understand. Why use passive voice and make the things complicated? So, tip number 20, remember, as far as possible, use active voice. It is easy to use, easy to understand. Don't make life complicated. So, friends, these were 20 tips for you which you can remember and utilize in your day-to-day English. I'm sure these tips will make you more comfortable while you read, write, or speak the English language. It will help you always to use English in a proper, structured way. Always remember, structure has to be followed, whether it is operation in a hospital or it is language spoken or written. We have to follow a certain structure, and that structure of any language is called grammar, and grammar is not your enemy, grammar is your friend. So friend, today we will say bye. See you soon with another topic, and I hope we will talk about parts of speech, or based on your comments below the video in comment box, we will decide what should be our next topic for you. So till then, bye bye, have a nice day, nice time. Thank you very much.